Alright guys, welcome back to another video. I know this week my videos was kind of lame because usually I post 3 times a week. I try to post Monday, Wednesday, Friday. This week has just been not a very good week. The fishing hasn't really been there. This year was supposed to be some record coho run, and we did pretty good on Chinook, and then this was supposed to be a good coho run. And, around where I live, the river's close to me. Have not really got any good coho. It really was disappointing because, there's a big thing saying it's going to be some big, huge coho run, like millions of fish are going to come back or something like that. And so, you go out and buy all this gear, you get ready, and then the run is just garbage. I went on the river yesterday, and it wasn't, there's some fish, but there's not nearly as many fish as they said. So it's pretty slow fishing. It's kind of disappointing. The only place I've really found some good fishing is if I travel, go around to different rivers, not my home rivers. So anyway, so for this week, since I didn't post any other videos, I was going to make one today. And it's going to be on rigging soft beads and how I rig soft beads for salmon and steelhead. And this is going to be for kind of a slip float rig. That's how I do this, but the way I'm going to show you how I actually rig up the bead, you can do that pretty much with, any way. Drift fishing, a fixed float, whatever you want. But how I'm going to do it is I have a little slip float with a little piece of pencil lead there, and I kind of bobber dog it a little bit, kind of let that pencil lead bounce along the bottom. It's on a swivel system there. And then I'm going to tie my bead leader. So, for my bead leader, usually I'm going to run, especially when I'm drift fishing or kind of bobber dogging, I like to run a little longer leader to get away from that weight. And the longer the leader with a bead, it's going to allow that bead to work better in the current. These beads, they really work well when they have a lot of room to work and they can just tumble along the bottom. That's why bobber dogging them works so good. They just kind of tumble along the bottom and they look like a salmon egg that's, just tumbling down the river. And longer leader allows them to do that. So I run usually about a 4-foot leader. Most of the time when I'm bobber dogging and drift fishing, sometimes I run even longer. It just depends, and sometimes I run a shorter. But about 3.5 to 4-foot leader is really about where I want to be. Usually for the leader line, I use a fluorocarbon line. This is P-Line Tactical. And a 12-pound test. Depending on the species, you can switch up your line with a bead. Again, to get that nice, tumbling action out of the bead that you're looking for. A smaller diameter line, not a stiff line is going to do good. So like a heavy fluorocarbon. This stuff here, the P-Line SS fluorocarbon. Other than 15-pound here, but it's actually empty. That's what I used for Chinook fishing, and I was fishing bigger beads for Chinook. I was fishing 16 and 20 millimeter beads, I think it was, for Chinook. And this 15, it worked alright, and I was rigging it up a little bit differently. Instead of the long leader having the bead tumble, I was basically doing a vertical presentation, so where the bead is straight down from the bobber, and it's just kind of going like this. Whereas this, I kind of turn it sideways and have a weight kind of bouncing on the bottom and the beads behind it working. So it's a little bit different. So for this, I like a thinner line. The SS, it's good stuff. It's super strong, and you can get it in smaller diameters, of course, or smaller pound test. But it's a pretty stiff, pretty thick line. And this Tactical, the P-Line Tactical, is really a limp, really thin. It moves around really, really good. And then for steelhead and, smaller salmon, such as coho, I like a 12-pound test. And for steelhead, you can even drop down lower. You can drop to 10-pound test or even 8. But I like to stick around 12. Now, to tell you the truth, this leader here is actually not even fluorocarbon that I'm showing you. This is actually 15-pound CX Premium. Let me grab that here. I know I use a lot of P-Line. I don't have any kind of sponsorship with them. I just like their line. But I use a lot of this P-Line CX Premium as well. And usually, like I said, like for steelhead, for salmon, the most part I use fluorocarbon. But this is actually, I'm going to be using this leader for, I'm taking a trip. Like I said, the salmon fishing kind of been bad around here, so I'm taking a trip back up to that river I filmed all those videos on of us catching coho, and there should be some coho in there. There actually is supposed to be some chum, and that's what kind of this leader is more for, is chum. So I'm running, instead of fluorocarbon, I'm running this 15-pound CX Premium, and that's going to be for chum fishing and, you know, even coho as well. But this stuff, it's pretty, even though it's not fluorocarbon, you know, it's pretty invisible to the eye, you know. And for salmon, I don't really feel like it matters as much as for steelhead. I think steelhead are a lot more line shy, as well as water clarity. It depends how clear the water is. If it's crystal clear, I might move to that fluorocarbon. But this is, 15-pound CX Premium. For the hooks on beads, like I said, we're talking about soft beads, but, you know, this applies for hard beads as well. For the hooks on my soft beads, or my beads, you know, I run a few different sizes. So I have like a bag here. This is all 14 millimeter and up, so 14, 16, 20s. There's a bag, and then I have another bag that has my smaller beads in it, 12 and under. And for my 12 and under, so 8s, 10s, 12s, I tend to fish a size 4, or even sometimes a size 8. Especially for if I'm using like a 8 or a 10 mil, or even if I drop to a 6 mil especially, I could run a size 8 hook. But for my, you know, normally with these sizes, you know, my 12s and my 10s, I'm going to run about a size 4 hook. It seems to do pretty good. It's small enough to where it doesn't really affect the bead a whole lot, but it's still not so tiny, because I've seen people use like size like 10 hooks. And it's like, how do you even hook up, you know what I mean? Like, it doesn't affect your bead at all, but it's a lot harder to hook up into me. So a size 4 hook, it's a pretty good size. It doesn't affect the bead too much unless you go like, you know, really small, a 6 or an 8 millimeter. But, you know, like I said, the 12s and the 10s, usually the 4 works pretty good on. And those are the main sizes that I fish for steelhead anyway. For, you know, obviously for chums or king salmon, I would go with like a 20 mil. But for those bigger ones, so for my 12s and under, usually a size 4. For the my other pack here that has 14s and up, I like to run usually a size 1 hook. I'll go up to a size 1 and maybe a size 2 at the most. I think I was fishing when I was fishing the 16 millimeter beads for Chinook, I think I was using a size 2. But I don't like to go with a too big of hook. You know, kind of got to watch it. Don't let your hook get too big because it will drag that bead down. But today I'm going to be rigging up a size 12, so a size 4 hook. I mean, a 12 millimeter bead. Now I'm getting all confused with the sizes. 12 millimeter bead with a size 4 hook. So anyway, I got my leader, got the hook tied. Now the knot you can use to tie that leader, you know, you can use whatever knot you want. You can use a Palmer, a clinch knot, you know, whatever knot you want. I here actually have an egg loop knot, and I would like to show you guys how to do it, but because the way I have, you know, my camera set up and all that, you guys wouldn't be able to see it. Maybe one day I'll figure out a way to set it up to where you guys can see it. But the way that I would do it, you guys wouldn't even be able to really see it. So there's plenty of other YouTube channels out there, YouTube videos that show you, you know, really good how to tie this knot. And there's a few different ways to do it, but just an egg loop knot, that's what I have here. And that's just in case sometimes I stick a little piece of bait underneath a bead. I have my bead and I stick a little piece of shrimp, or, you know, a little piece of sand shrimp or coon shrimp, or a little piece of eggs, you know, just underneath of it, just to, you know, if you have a little colored up water, just to get some more attention from the fish. Sometimes that really helps. So anyway, we're going to open up a pack of 12 millimeter beads. So this is my soft beads. For beads, I like B&R soft beads. Like I said, you can use hard beads, you can use whatever brand you want, but these B&R soft beads work really good, and the newer ones come with the newer T-stops. I mean, they're not super new, but you know, when we first started using soft beads, we'd fish like you'd use like a little bobber stop and then like a sequence or something. But these little T-stops here, they work good. You just all you do is there's a little wire loop at the end, and you just take your line, put it through that loop, and then just slide it onto your line. Basically, they're like the same way you would do with a bobber stop. It's kind of like a bobber stop. It's just shaped differently for a bead. Slide that down, and I like to wet my line a little bit just to make it slide easier. Make sure it doesn't fray up your line at all. And I do this especially when I'm using smaller lines, you know, like if I were to use like 8 or 10 pound test. I want to make sure I get that a little bit wet, get a little saliva, a little water on it so it slides a little bit easier, so there's no chance of it, you know, fraying up my line. So you slide that down, there it is. That's what it looks like. I'll get an up close shot maybe. There it is. It's called a T-stop, and they come with most of your B&R soft beads. They'll come with them in the pack. So there you go. I slid that down. Now I'm going to take my bead out of the package. This is a little 12 millimeter soft bead. This is in red, just a red one. For colors, I mean, you can go anything. You know, they have a ton of different colors out there, especially with hard beads. Hard beads have a ton of colors. Usually hard beads have a little bit more color options than soft beads, but I mean, they both have, you know, plenty of colors, and you just gotta pick a couple. You know, usually I like to have a couple reds, a couple pinks, and a couple oranges. You know, something in the red, pink, orange, in there. So like, see, I've got like some reds, then I got like pearl pinks, and then what's this? This is natural. It's like a natural orange color. You know, just a couple different colors like that. Some of my favorites like cerise pink, stuff like that. The molted, I like the molted pink, molted cerise pink. But there you go. Slide that down, and that stopper, because we slid that stopper down the line, you can actually move that around. But it's going to stay pinned pretty good. Now, it's going to stay pinned good to where on your casting, and as long as you're not casting super hard, you know. But with your casting and your normal fishing, that bead's going to stay where you put it. So you can, you know, adjust it. Usually I like to do about 2 to 3 fingers above the hook. It doesn't really matter, you know, as long as it's, like I said, somewhere in the 2 to 3 fingers. You don't want it, you know, way up here, because then those fish go to hit that bead and your hook's not even near their mouth. And you don't want it, you know, right on top of the hook. Although you can do that. I've honestly fished them right on top of the hook and caught fish. You know, but the hookup ratio just might not be as good. So, you know, just peg it, you know, 2 finger lengths, 2 to 3 finger lengths. I usually do about 2 above the hook. And there you go. And then, I mean, that's basically it. It's as simple as that. Like I said, that stop's going to hold in pretty good. Keep that bead pegged right there. Now on the hook set, you know, sometimes if you get snagged up or whatever, or when you hook a fish while you're fighting a fish or on the hook set, sometimes it does slide, you know. Or I've had times where my bobber, you know, my weight got hung up in a rock or something. Just for a second, my bobber kind of went down, and so I swung, you know, and you know, I reeled in, and it was all messed up. But you know, it doesn't happen a whole lot. But these stops are pretty good. It's a pretty good way to rig a bead. So that's how I rig up my soft beads, just like that. And then you've got this leader, about 3.5, 4 feet leader, that I tie. You know, if you're drift fishing, tie a piece of pencil lead on there, or like my bobber. So I hook this to my swivel on my bobber, and there you go. Let that thing just tumble around in the current. And so that's kind of a little thing on beads here. So hope you guys enjoyed. If you want to see more videos like this, more in-depth videos on, you know, maybe worms or jigs or whatever, comment down below and I will do that. So thanks for watching, guys, and I'll see you in the next video.